He has extremely vast knowledge of, and he'll weave some of that into his character stories tonight. But Steve, if you'll give me the first paragraph on you. So Steve was actually raised in Louisiana, and he came out here by way of New Orleans, hitchhiked out here to Oregon in 1976. He's always enjoyed local history, and he became interested in these Bohemia gold mines in the early 1980s when he just so happened to be neighbors with Dick Secord, who is actually one of these colorful characters that he's going to talk about.
No.
In the 1990s, Steve was an outreach counselor for South Lane Mental Health, and he actually started the Opal Whiteley Memorial as a way to teach people about mental health and child abuse through Opal's story. He was then hired by the University of Oregon to collect historical research on Opal, and for the past 15 years, Steve has been the chair of the Heritage Exhibit for the Oregon Asian Celebrations, and this evening he's going to speak to you about the colorful characters in the Bohemia gold mines. So please put your hands together and welcome Steve Williamson.
Thank you. Oh, yes, thank you. Jared just reminded me that there will be a test following this. Now, it's actually a trivia contest. We're going to have 10 questions that some of y'all will know the questions right off, but the questions for each, the answers for each question are in the presentation, and we've got 3 gift cards courtesy of the Axe and Fiddle. There's a $25 gift card, a $15, and a $10 gift card. That is really terrific. I thank the Axe and Fiddle so much for letting us be here tonight. It is a privilege, an honor to be doing a historical talk in a historical building. This building has been here for, gosh, I can't remember what year it's built, but well over 100 years. And each of the men that I'm going to be speaking about tonight shopped in this building. So I just find that so cool. It's rare that you're able to give a talk in a place where the subject of the presentation actually shopped. Now, can you all see that, or maybe I should sit down, and I don't want to block anybody's view. Okay, yeah, this is better for me if it's okay with you. First of all, this is not an Opal Whiteley talk. However, Opal did know each man. This statue right there, that is brand new. It's on the University of Oregon campus. It is just at the northeast side of the Knight Library. It'll be dedicated on May 23rd, and it's a copy of Ellen Tykeson's bronze statue that's in the library. It was done at the same time, I think. And I think the one we've got in our library is better, but this is so cool. And you know, who would have guessed a college dropout has her statue at the entrance of 2 libraries? Gotta like that. Now, I'm gonna be talking about 3 men here tonight. Dr. William Oglesby, Henry David Pearson, and James Bohemia Sharp. If you can keep me to an hour with those guys, you'll be doing lucky. Just as a side thing though, you know the biographer Benjamin Hoff, who wrote the book, The Singing Creek Where the Willows Grow. Well, I think it was his grandfather used to work in the Champion Mine, and he's got some ore from the Champion Mine up at his house. Now there is a connection, an Opal connection to each one of these men. Oglesby did gold mining with her family in Fossil, Oregon. He also was their family doctor. And Henry Pearson, he taught Opal really most of what she knew about natural history and nature, poetry, Latin, you name it, he taught it to her. And he might have really been the actual angel father. Now, Bohemia Sharp is neat because Opal Whiteley planned to write a story and a novel about Bohemia Sharp, calling it The Impossible Man. She actually proposed it to the Atlantic Monthly before they started asking her about if she ever kept a diary. That was one of the stories that she proposed to the Atlantic Monthly. Who knows how history is changed if the Atlantic Monthly says, yeah, a story about an old gold miner named Bohemia Sharp was interesting, and they never asked about the diary. I like to think, who knows how history would have been changed. Now, I'm not going to do him tonight, but this is Dan Hill over here on the spot. He hadn't seen this, but I'm going to put him on the spot. Dan has done some phenomenal research on the discovery, man, most people credit with the discovery of a big strike of gold in Bohemia, James Bohemia Johnson. And it's a fascinating story that I won't get into. It's really important. So many things around the town are named for him, and yet so much of what we think we know may not be accurate. Like, for example, the histories that we have, most of them imply that he was from the old country, meaning Bohemia back in Europe. But Dan's research and Joanne Skelton back there with the Genealogical Society, he was much more likely born in Missouri, which was that time was not yet a state. So Nebraska was part of Missouri. And guess what is in Nebraska? The Bohemian Alps. Can you believe that there's a place called Bohemian Alps in Nebraska? So we don't know yet where he found he disappears from histories pretty soon after he makes the strike and sells some of his gold mines. He may be one of the few people who made significant amount of money up there, but I'm going to leave that to Dan. I sure hope he gets it. Now this is the first man I'm going to talk about, because this man is a pioneer Renaissance man. This is Dr. William Oglesby. Let me tell you the things he did. He came here in 1853 when he was a teenager. He did gold mining. He was a medical doctor. He's famous in Eastern Oregon for the Battle of Willow Springs, the last significant battle with Native American forces. He had a horse ranch of 600 blooded horses outside of Fossil, Oregon in the 1880s. That is a significant endeavor. He wrote poetry, believe it or not, according to his daughter. He was mayor of 2 Oregon towns, and he was a historian, and he was a friend to Indians. Oh, one thing I do want to mention first of all, before I get too deep into this, is I am not an expert on the Bohemia gold mines or how to do gold mining. If you want to learn about that, the Bohemia Gold Mining Museum on 10th Street across from Bohemia Park, that's the place to go for that. And Bohemia Park's a great place to recreate and then go over to the museum. It's a unique museum. You can take your kids and they can touch stuff. If you go to most museums, they follow your kids around really carefully. But in the mining museum, you can touch stuff. So I'm an expert, I think, maybe on colorful characters. I think most people would think I'm an expert on colorful characters. And so these men all had an intersection with opal, but they're bigger than the opal whiting story. They're actually bigger than just the Bohemia gold mines. So Oglesby, 1858, he's with the first white men to pick up gold in what's close to Sharps Creek today. 1878, he's 40-year-old medical doctor, leads 55 mostly teenage boys in a battle with Indians. And then in 1890, Dr. Oglesby and his partner Henry Pearson discover the antimine, which is one of the richest mines up there. Whoops. Apologize, let me get this correctly on. Here's a picture of him with his wife, his daughter, and their dog. And it's got some other things that he did in the years. Now at the bottom, there's a note, there's sources that disagree on the date. So sometimes I put a question mark because I had 2 sources that had different dates. But in the 1870s, right after he got his first medical degree, he performed an ovarian cancer surgery on a woman in California. And she survived, and it became one of the first successful ovarian cancer surgeries ever. And he got written up for it. Then in the 1880s, the horse ranch. In 1894, he was elected to Limeti, Oregon. I mean, to mayor of Limeti, Oregon. Anybody know where Limeti is? Right here. Yes, and so he was, I think, maybe the first mayor of Limitai, and then he was also elected mayor of Junction City. See, it helps to be a doctor who's also a successful gold miner if you get elected. So then in 1900, his daughter, Annie Graham, went to a newspaper convention in New Orleans. It was a big, deal at the time. And he was the public health officer for Cottage Grove